Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Cam in the Discord, or Cathera, as some of you may know me as. And today we are going to be talking about the Warden class. I've had a lot of questions from various types of people about legacies, trait lines, rotations, red, yellow, tanking, etc., etc. So today we're going to be going over all of those things. We're going to be taking it one step at a time. Um, so I've had a lot of people ask me specifically about tanking on the Warden. I'll be honest with you. Um, I have 8 Wardens, all at 130. I freaking adore. I love the class, but do not try and tank with it. You you will not be successful. If Guardians can't tank T2 or T3 Ram right now, then there is not a chance in hell that Wardens can either. Especially since Cappies are just so broken right now. Um, So we'll go over tanking a little bit, but keep in mind that it's more for shits and giggles and making yourself better than it is a realistic tool to run in the raid. Um, as far as DPS goes, this is probably one of the biggest arguments of the class right now is do you go red, do you go yellow, do you go a mix of the two? Which one is better? And while true, it can be situational. Right now, 85% of the time, yellow is just better. Um, and I'm not just saying that, I'm actually going to be showing you here. A lot of you guys may know Zero or Alf, the warden from Evernight, who does a lot of YouTube videos as well. He and I have spent, hours together running around, doing builds and rotations with each other. I actually helped Fang yesterday learn Yellow Warden, and he got his first 200k parse, and he said he was struggling to get 160, 170k in red. Um, while true, his red rotation probably could use a little bit of work. The fact that he had that much success with yellow instantly, um, that's going to show you the power that this trait line can have. But we're going to go over both trait trees and let you see the differences and how the two playstyles interact with each other. By the way, can we just thank Bio for having the easiest neighborhood to get to for training dummies? I swear to God, I use this more than he does. I can't tell you how many times I've been here and he's logged in with me parsing here at his house. Um, if you guys ever want to get a easily accessible route for training dummies, go to the Shire neighborhoods, Michael Delving, go to the last town, Yokton, and then it's going to be 5th Brookbank Street right here. So it's very easy to get to. So yeah, let's get into the video. So when it comes to trait lines, oh, I'm in blue. Why am I in blue? Wardens benefit from trait points compared to most other classes. Same thing can be said for hunters, minstrels, um, captains, maybe Bergs, but there's a lot of classes who just don't really need, as many trait, or not need, but they don't benefit from the amount of trait points as a lot of other classes do. For example, LM is a perfect example of that. Um, if you're an LM in yellow, I mean, you literally get everything you need to get to Enfeeble and Ancient Master, and then you just come the rest of the way in blue line for inductions, and I mean, it's not even needed. But Warden, on the other hand, there's just so much good stuff here. I mean, you have your bleeds, you have your light damage, you have your blue light damage, which you can't even get to in yellow, which is sad. God, it'd be so overpowered if you could. Um, if you're going down into yellow, you need to get Seize the Moment. So when you're playing a Warden, if you're not at max trait points, that needs to be a priority. Trust me, I know it sucks. I spent a week going through Gondor and Rohan and everything, going to get those trait points on this specific class because I didn't. This was the one warden I didn't Valor to 130. Well, one of 3 wardens I didn't Valor to 130. So I had to go back and redo all those trait points, and it blows. I know. But we're going to start off with red, just because this is the one that most of you guys are familiar with. It's the one that's most common. Um, so what is red line good for? Redline, technically, on paper, does indeed do the most damage. We have our all the way down the red tree, all the way down to Recklessness with Quick Sweep here. We have our 4 points here for 16% light damage here in blue line. And then we have our 15 points here in yellow line for momentum and the 5% crit chance. Which, by the way, a lot of people have asked me about swapping stances for momentum. Don't argue. Yes, do it. It is absolutely worth it, 100%. Especially, let me show you tooltip for RRC. RRC is your highest damaging skill right now. Look at that. 100k. I'm not buffed. I'm at 7-9. Well, here, let me buff up for you so you can actually see it. I mean, I was completely unbuffed with nowhere near capped mastery, no rate buffs, anything, and that gambit is doing over 100 KDP or 100k damage every 4 seconds. And it spikes up when you get Warden and Cappy buffs and your mastery. This gambit, light gambits benefit from mastery more than the bleed gambits do. See, look at that, 100k damage. This should be up at all times, which means you're swapping stances at all times, which means when you go to swap to your melee stance, you get the momentum melee buff of plus 20% damage. Now, plus 20% doesn't sound like a lot, I know, but let's see. So I'm swapping here. I'm going to build an Erring Strike real quick. That's at 91,000 damage every 4 seconds, with the secondary bonus at 88,000. Now let's see what it is with momentum off. That's 85. So that's 6,000 damage from one gambit. Now remember, that's unbuffed. That's without recklessness. That's without Oathies on everything. So everything will multiply together or add together when you have that buff, and you should be doing that anyways. So it's just a free buff. You should always be doing it. So Redline, there are quite a few different rotations with it. Which rotation is better comes down to a couple different things. It comes down to playstyle, preference, scenario of the fight. Redline is fantastic for bosses like second boss in Thossan right now, where you're pre-stacking your bleeds. So the big thing with Red and Yellow Warden is Red Warden takes forever to get going. You don't see your true DPS until your second to third rotation usually. Notice how your first rotation, sometimes you're lucky to even get to 100k before you've even finished your second rotation. So bosses on second boss like Thoslan, where you can preemptively stack your dots and get a head start, Red Warden excels at. So there are a couple different rotations that you can do. The two that I use the most are Zero's second and fourth rotation, where you do RRC, build Death Strike, swappy, do Death Strike, use your marked target, swap stances, do Mighty Blow, into an Erring Strike, into Wall of Steel, and then do Battle Memory, Mighty Blow, into Desolation, into Spear of Virtue, into Surety of Death, into Power Attack, into Onslaught. See, like that first rotation, I got lucky actually. I'm surprised I'm even at 100k DPS right now. So we're going to restart, Death Strike, and then here's where you pop Recklessness, and then you just keep going, rinse and repeat. Back into Desolation. I actually experimented with this rotation, adding Piercing Strike into it. Notice how this gambit is just available at all times, and it's literally takes 1 second to add. But I noticed my DPS would go down a little bit with it. So I still haven't experimented with that much, but even if I did find a way to make up for the DPS, I mean, it's still nowhere the success I'm having in Yellow Line. So this is one of the more common and more simple rotations for people to learn in Red. It's very easy to learn, very quick, and it's very forgiving. And it's not bad. Like, I'm at 160k DPS. That is relatively low. I'm getting RNG. So the other rotation is actually very similar to this. Literally, the only thing you add to it is you just do ranged and Erring Strike, and that's it. So like after RRC, you would just do range resounding, or I'm sorry, range generating strike, and then you would just literally continue on with this rotation. That's all it is. Um, it has the capability to do more damage in this rotation, but it also has the capability to do less damage than this rotation. As you see, um, anytime a rotation takes longer than 28 seconds where RRC is not ticking, remember that's a huge ticking gambit. You're losing DPS at that point. Actually, I want to see what I can get this rotation to. Can we hit 180k? Probably not. Yeah, I don't have any bleeds up on there. It's unfortunate. See, so notice how I haven't even hit 180k yet. With yellow line, I would typically hit 190k DPS within the first 50 to 60 seconds, and then my DPS is only going up from there. So 172k, that's very eh. That's very. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you were doing this DPS in a raid, you're doing probably 350 to 400k DPS on main bosses, which is more than acceptable. But we're not here for acceptable. We're here to do as much damage as we possibly can. As far as the other rotation goes, I'm not going to do another 3-minute parse. I'm going to just briefly show you what it was. So this was Ciro's second rotation, where he would do range resounding challenge, range and airing strike, death strike, swappy, death strike again, back to your ally for the double cast, swap stances, do mighty blow, into an airing strike, and the next set, maybe you get it. You saw the rotation. It's literally just a rinse and repeat. As I said, this version of the rotation does have the capability to do more damage. It also has the capability to do less damage, though. If I remember correctly, the average for that rotation was anywhere between 140 to 190k, and then the first version of the rotation you saw me using was anywhere between 150 to 190k. Or I'm sorry, 150 to 185k. So mess around with it, see which one you have more success with. I swear to God, this Warden in specific, my High Elf has the worst RNG. I swear to God, my Hobbit and my Man just have way better. I get double procs on bleeds all the time. I literally can't understand it. So that is Redline. So you can do the standard red rotation. You can. It's very meh. It takes forever to get going, and I just don't think it's the most beneficial right now. So on to yellow line. This is where things get a lot more interesting. You have a lot more to your kit. Also, the play style of the class changes. It's not just a linear rotation. What I mean by that is you saw in my red parse a couple minutes ago, the rotation was exactly the same all the way throughout. That is not the case in yellow line. Yellow line, this buff right here, seize the moment. That is the entire point of playing this trait tree for this class. What this buff does is your javelin skills, your gambit builders, and your ranged gambits have a 50% chance to reset your gambit masteries and completely remove their cooldowns for 10 seconds. That just sounds amazing, and it is amazing. What it does is, if I do range resounding challenge, range naring strike, and then a death strike, and then I get a proc, then I have a little pop up here for all my bleeds here. We'll go over that later. It completely removes all the cooldowns of my masteries. Let me see if I can get a proc here to kind of show you what it does. Oh, sweet. There we go. So I'm going to swap stances. So this buff is up. Notice how none of my masteries are going on cooldown, but I'm getting all these gambits. So it allows you to get as many gambits up in a quick amount of time, in the least amount of time as possible. Sorry, I can't English right now. I literally just woke up an hour ago. So that is the entire point of yellow line. This allows you to get more dots up. It allows you to maintain those dots, and it allows you to do it in a less amount of time. So between the three things of more dots being able to maintain those dots in a less amount of time, you're doing more damage. Not only that, keep in mind, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I believe, yep, focus fire right here. Your marked and diminished target are removing additional mitigations, which is not only helping you, but raid wide. 5% is very, I mean, it's noticeable. It is, but it's nowhere near as noticeable if you get a 20% chance or a 20% mitigation loss. I mean, that's huge, especially if you're being cheesy like me and you have the gold earring. Um, to get it up to minus 40%, then that's just, ridiculous. I hope that's fixed one day. So that is the point of yellow line. So you work around this buff right here. And what I mean by it's not a linear rotation in yellow. Whether you get a proc or not will dictate what gambits you do or don't use in a certain scenario. What I mean by that, there are two types of rotations for yellow. There is Ciro's version of yellow, and then there is my version of yellow. I'm not going to say which is better because they are both so damn good, but they're both different in their own way, and they're both situational. Ciro's version, what he does is he will do his RRC, he'll do his range engineering strike, and then he'll build his battle memory, his javelin skills, etc., etc. He'll get his proc, he'll do his bleeds, his quick sweep, his desolation, his surety, all of that good stuff. He'll get his whole rotation going. Then he uses his javelin skills, or he swaps back to refresh RRC and RUS to get another STM proc. And what he does is instead of doing additional dots, he will swap back to stances and he will continue to use Onslaught and Wall of Steel from the previous bleeds of the previous rotation. What this does, and this is what I was saying in the Discord when I say Yellow Line allows you to put better RNG in your hands. This is allowing you to control the situation a little bit more. You now have additional chances to proc quick sweep from the bleeds of this previous rotation. So instead of, in Redline, for example, you do your Mighty Blow, then you do your Wall of Steel. If you don't get a quick sweep proc, you don't get a quick sweep proc. You don't have time to, refresh that bleed and try again because you're losing time on Spear of Virtue, Desolation, Surety, RRC, etc. You don't have a choice. You just have to take the hit and keep going with your rotation. Yellow Line, however, since you were able to get all those dots on there so quickly, you now have additional time with STM being up to instantaneously refresh those bleeds and try again for a quick sweep proc. So this gives you 2, maybe 3 chances from one rotation to get a quick sweep proc, and you still have more than enough time to refresh your dots. This rotation, it's very good. It does require a little bit higher of a skill cap. I'm more than willing to admit that I have not mastered that rotation yet, which is why I personally don't use it. Well, that one other reason I find more consistency with my version of the rotation. So that's Ciro's version. I call it the triple quick sweep yellow rotation. My rotation is instead of trying for those additional chances of quick sweep, I use this time to get all tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and tier 5 dots. So in other words, I'm able to do range resounding challenge, range naring strike, range mighty blow, and then usually that will give me a quick sweep, or I'm sorry, an STM proc. And then I can go to melee and I can go refresh all 3 bleeds, brink, surety, desolation, piercing strike, and spear virtue. Redline, you would never have this time. You would never have this time to get all those dots up because by the time you do, your big dots like RRC, remember that's your biggest dot, other than maybe unerring strike under like a recklessness proc or something like that. But if RRC is no longer ticking, you are losing DPS at that point. Having 2 tier 2 or 2 tier 3 light dots is not worth not having RRC up. Keep that in mind. Especially since RRC and Yellow Line gets you the secondary dot where you get your barbed javelin bleeds. That's huge. You'll notice in Yellow Line, 80% of the time, that's actually your most amount of damage. So let's show you a quick rotation similar to what I use in Yellow Line. So park a dummy here. So it's the same thing. You're going to start with RRC. Oh, let me eat food real quick before I run out of power. God, that's terrible to always have that happen in a parse. And you get Fire at Will. I mean, it's 22k mastery, so sure, why not? Let's use it. So we're going to do RRC for engineering, swap, get Death Strike. Oh, there's my proc. Ah, sweet. And I just did the double STM proc. And we'll go over that, what that means. Look at that DPS. I'm 30 seconds in. I'm already at 140k. And I messed up, but that's okay. We're kind of getting the point of this. So we're at 1 minute in, and I'm at 160k. Keep in mind, you would never have this time in Redline. You would never be hitting this type of DPS at this point. Oh, wait, where's my battle memory? Oh, whatever. It needs battle memory, I guess. So you can kind of see the point of this. Again, yellow line is all about working around this buff. I got good STM RNG, but I didn't get good quick sweep RNG, unfortunately. So what was it? I think 55, 60 seconds in, I was at like 165 kDPS, something like that. I don't recall exactly. I have to go back and look at the footage. My red parts earlier, I think, was 172k, and that was over 3 minutes. Granted, that could absolutely be another 20 to 30k higher, absolutely. But again, the fact that I was touching my red lines parts at 3 minutes within the first 60 seconds, that's huge. This allows you to get a head start. This allows you to buff your entire raid-wide DPS. That is the whole point of this line. This line is meant to give you a boost. This line is meant to give you range. Now, this is huge for corruption phase on Shelob. It's actually funny. I always thought yellow line wouldn't be worth it for the corruption phase because you have the attack duration on you, right? Well, interestingly, when you go into the melee stance, your melee reversal actually procs STM. Don't know why, don't know how. I don't think that's how it's supposed to work, but it does. So you can literally just go to your melee stance and then just proc reversal over and over and over and over and literally do 17 corruptions per topple. And in your redline warden on Shelob, you should be doing anywhere between 8 to 10 corruptions per topple, if done properly. A lot of people don't know how to do the double battle memory, which actually, let me show you guys how to do that because it's amazing. A lot of people didn't know the concept of a double battle memory. So let's do this dummy over here. Let's pretend this dummy was Shelob, right? So let's say you're in a REM T2, T3, or hell tier. Oh wait, no, there are no CRs in tier 1. I don't think, are there? So let's say you're in a tier 2 or tier 3 Shelob run, right? And she just came down, and you're about to start your CR phase. So here on the ads, I usually will proc a goad, right? And then I will do my reversal. That puts reversal here in battle memory already. So Shelob's down. I already have reversal in my battle memory. So I'm going to do goad again. And then I'm going to proc reversal. And I'm going to hold this. I'm going to hold this. Wait for the topple to come down. Shelob is toppled. CRs are now. I hit my battle memory. Then I do reversal again. And then I have, see right here, I had another battle memory. That is a double battle memory for reversal. So in quick motion, here's what it would look like. I always do the builders for the first one just because why would I have my masteries on cooldown when she's not even here yet? I'm not in a hurry. So here's this. So we're gonna do goat again. We're gonna have this prepped. Alright, so usually she's walking here. She's toppled. Okay, cool. She's toppled now, so we go here. Here. Oh, there's a proc. Look at that. So you guys can kind of see. That's not very smooth, just because I haven't done it in like 2 to 3 weeks, to be perfectly honest with you. Damn YouTube and the servers. Um, but you can see how it's supposed to go. A lot of people will just do 1 to 2, and they'll be getting 6 to 7 CRs per topple, and there's a lot more room. There's a lot more room. Remember, the more CRs you get, the more time you have to do damage. Especially if you can do CRs and 2.5 topples, then that means you have half of a topple to do DPS, which means you can one phase around the burn topple. So that's double battle memory. So now we're going to go into legacies. I've had a lot of people ask me, builds, legacies, things like that. To be honest with you, there's really not much to talk about. There's a reason wardens have to use crafted weapons, unlike every other class, because our allies absolutely blow. Um, Let me open up this. I think it's this one. Yeah, it is this one. So you should have there's a couple legacies that are absolutely must-haves, right? And there's really not many of those because there's not many legacies out there that are actually half decent. You want the marked target double cast just because 35% chance is actually a relatively high chance, especially when it's only on like a 30-second cooldown. Oh, 20-second cooldown. I mean, that's actually very good. So that's a must-have. 5% spear gamut damage. I mean, that's relatively explanatory. I mean, your spear gamut damage, your light damage, your surety of death damage, and your range damage. These are all very, very self-explanatory legacies. I actually had a lot of people um, ask me about why do you run the range damage legacy? I mean, you don't really use many range gambits. Keep in mind, remember, when you're using our RC, range damage is affected by this, which goes for the same thing. A lot of people will put a mastery rune. Excuse me. They'll put a mastery rune on their javelin, thinking that's better. No, take that off. Put a striking rune. I wish I had a relic removal scroll on me. I would actually show you. This striking rune literally doubles the damage of this. It also doubles the damage of our RC. I'm sorry, our US, and increases its bleed damage. And that's just so. The double damage from our RC and our US, it's not worth losing the 20k mastery you'll gain for the 3 to 4% mastery damage bonus. It's not. Especially when RC is your highest DPS skill right now. So, back to the legacies. The legacies that I'm currently running, I'm running Marked Double Chance, Spear Gamut damage, Light damage, Surety of Death damage, Recklessness crit rating. Why? Because that was meta back at 115 and 105, and I just haven't changed it because let me show you. I mean, there's really not much you can change it with. I mean, I guess you could do a Hampering Javelin reset, but at the same time, every time you're using Hampering, you're using your Swampy anyways. You could do Resolution damage, but you're almost never using that skill unless it's you in a no shit moment, and usually you're still going to wipe anyways. I mean, I guess you can do Vitality or Fate, but I mean, 264, I mean, especially after the Agility and the Might nerfs, no longer being on a scale rating of 8, it's just like, eh. I mean, there's only one thing you could realistically swap this out for, and that's Vitality, which I might do in the future, but the gains of 264 Vitality are just not worth me going to find a imbuement scroll, and I'd rather use my ancient coins on starlets and make more gold. And I guess the Gambit Live Tap one is kind of as well. Like I said, I mean, there's really not much you can change it out with here. You could do the Fist Spear Gambit Power Cost one. You could absolutely do that one. I just don't because we have more than enough power regen when you're having your food and you're in raid anyways. So I just keep this here just because the 1 out of 10,000 times I use it, it does 35% more damage. So that's your melee right here. That's why we run the crafted, which let me show you guys real quick. After the update we had a couple weeks ago where we got additional starlit levels for our LIs, we used crafted for a lot of gambits. Now we only use crafted for the bleed lines and the bleed lines only. So let me show you that real quick. Oops. So wait for momentum to wear off so it doesn't mess up with the numbers. So a lot of people will run the mace. I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. A lot of people will run the mace for the mastery damage, or I'm sorry, for the physical mastery, because 33k mastery, that's quite a lot. Keep in mind, you're losing 5% damage from your sword, and you should have enough mastery and crit rating when you're in raid anyways to stay at the cap. So you're better off just getting the crit and the finesse. I mean, you're trading for crit anyways, which, I mean, you'll take that as well. And 41k finesse. When you're in yellow and you have this finesse stacked on top, you literally get 0% resist. So let's put my LI, which by the way, you can hotkey your weapon swaps. Believe it or not, I actually use a trackball. Hedge and Adam and everyone give me crap for it. You guys probably will too. I know it's splendid. So I just hotkey my secondary left mouse button and my secondary right mouse button for these two, so I can quickly swap. And then I do my F4 key for my diminished target, and then I just use my second mouse button left click back for a marked target. So I have my LI equipped right now, as you can see. And for Desolation, 60, let's say 69k. Crafted, it's 51k. It's nowhere near, right? Let's hit X. So back to the LI, surety, 51k. Crafted, 37.5k. See, nowhere near. Now, back then, the two light damage gambits that you would use your crafted on were Brink and Piercing. But that is no longer the case, as you'll see here. So LI equipped, Brink of Victory, 38.2k, crafted, 34.9k. That's close. I mean, that's much closer, obviously. And one could argue that you would want the evade rating instead, but at the same time, just the DPS is better. So let's do Piercing Strike. So it's 35k with LI. Crafted, it is 32k. So it's not a big increase, but it's an increase nevertheless. I mean, there's no reason why you wouldn't do that. So make sure you're in the habit of not using your crafted for those anymore. Now, a lot of people have had, oh, lovely lag. I can't move. Fantastic. A lot of people have asked me, for your Wall of Steel and your Onslaught, which one do you use? Do you use your LI? Do you use your Crafted? Because the LI actually does do more damage on the actual gambit damage of Onslaught and Wall of Steel, which is true. But you also have to remember, if you get a quick sweep proc, then it's going to do the damage of your LI and not your crafted, which we don't want that. We want the quick sweep damage to go from our crafted. Good lord, lag. This is fantastic. Of course this happens. Good lord. Hello? Anyone? Can I move, please? Fucking YouTube, dude. So yeah, make sure you're using your crafted for all your bleed damage gambits and your onslaught and wall of steel. Other than that, you're using, oh good lord. Other than that, you're using your LI. SSG, you've done an incredible job. What can I say? So anyways, over to trait trees. So for red, I would try and swap, but I don't think that's going to happen right now. So I'll just visibly show you real quick. Red line, you take your bleed damage here, your physical mastery, your light damage, your dot crit chance, and your dot crit damage, and your plus dot pulse into recklessness with quick sweep here. That's standard red. Yellow line, you'll go plus 25% range damage here. For RRC, yes, it does affect it. Into momentum, into the 5% crit chance here. Now, a lot of people, there's been a lot of debate. Does the plus 25% range crit chance or critical damage apply to RRC? No, it does not. I don't know why it doesn't, but it does not. It applies to range Snaring Strike, it applies to range Mighty Blow, it applies to everything else, but not our RC. Don't know why, but I don't know why a lot of things don't work like they are supposed to in this game. So you'll just take your 5% crit chance here, and then back in blue line, a lot of people will put points here, and the perverse line. I personally just do it here because, I mean, if you're DPSing, you're never using these gimmicks anyways, like, never. So I just do this here to get the extra evade rating, even though it's near negligible. Um, and then I take Defiant Challenge. You never know. You'd be surprised. You never know when you need an additional taunt in the group because the tank and the secondary tank is down and Ellen Bear is not available or something, and you can taunt and kite the spider and boss one or something. I mean, there's a couple different things you could do. So I go ahead and put 1 point here, put the other 4 points in here, and then your last 4 points we put here in the plus 16% light damage bonus. No, it is not worth losing 1% crit chance here for the additional 4% light damage here. The scaling is nowhere near as high as you think it would be, but the 1% crit chance scales a lot better for bleeds and everything else. So that's your red. That's your red line trait line. Yellow, you have a little bit of more maneuverability and a little bit more room you can do with yellow. I do the exact same thing as I do in red. I come here, I grab all my bleed damage, my light damage, everything. Quick sweep. Um, Obviously, since you're yellow, you can't grab recklessness. God, I wish that would be amazing. Um, so this stays the same. Here, I grab my range damage. I grab my finesse rating. These points here, and these points here, you can mess around with and put in a couple different areas, as I'll show you. This is just what I chose to do instead. So you'll come here, you'll grab momentum. So range damage, momentum, 50% chance for your severed bleeds, and your seize the moment proc. These are all the must-haves in yellow. Adroit maneuver. Don't do this. All hunter players are bad. No offense. Just don't do this. It's just not worth it. The other thing you can do is Shattered Javelin's Bleed. I've actually experimented with this. I've experimented with just doing Desolation, Spear of Virtue, and then setting up the red quick sweep and then the yellow quick sweep. It's interesting, but not quite. It doesn't quite do it. It's fantastic for burst damage. Fantastic. Which is what Warden. That's the one thing Wardens just don't really have compared to Hunters, Champs, and Bergs is burst damage. That's why we do the most DPS, other than a blue burger pops all in and swaps back into red, which is stupid that they can do that. So this is actually it's actually a lot of fun to do. It's a lot of fun, especially when you can get a triple quick sweep hitting for 2.2 million, and then all of a sudden you just done 7 million damage in 15 seconds, and then you don't do any damage for the other 40 seconds. Like it's yeah. So over here, a lot of people will put points into this, and you can do that. You can absolutely do that. What this does is, you can read it here, increases the duration of marked target and diminished target skills by 25 seconds. So literally, it would be over a minute long, 60 seconds. I personally don't do this because I'm using these two skills and hampering so often to get procs for STM, which means the buff has never worn off anyways. So at that point, since I'm using these almost every time they're up, that means this buff doesn't do anything for me. Very rarely would this do something for me. For example, if I was kiting or I wasn't able to get these up or something, but this just doesn't do it for me. The other points you could put, so like I said, you could take this out, and put points into this, but I personally wouldn't. You can also put points, where is it? Yeah, right here. I decided to put 1 point here in this. What this does is your marked and diminished target, it turns it into an AoE, and it'll affect up to 5 targets in total in an area of about 10 meters, if I remember correctly. which is actually it's pretty good, especially on like second boss when you're putting this on the daughter and you're putting it on the beetles and everything. I mean, that's minus 15 to 20% mits on all ads around you, which is awesome. But other than that, I mean, there's not much. Javelin of Deadly Force. No one has used this since 85 or 95. It's just bad now. This is okay. This is a decent debuff, but at the same time, you're almost never using your ranged javelins, gambits in the virtue line, anyways. Um, this is interesting. This was actually really good back when it was 6%, and yellow line wardens were used for utility more than damage. You still can do it. You still can, but I just don't. I mean, I'd rather continue to do more damage. Um, and what is the? Oh yeah, the Shadow Bleed. So don't do this. I've seen a couple people put points into this thinking it's good. Don't just don't. Um, yeah, just don't do this. So that is Yellow Line in a nutshell. Um, oh, something I forgot. You need to learn how to manage your STM proc right here. Seize the moment. Remember that's the passive buff of your javelin skills and javelin gambits. Remove all your mastery cooldowns. A lot of people will do this. Circumstances. They'll do RRC. They'll do RUS. They'll get their Death Strike, their Mark and Diminish. Wow, I'm getting some super shit RNG. Okay, not a single proc. And that's something else I was going to say. If you don't get a proc, that's okay. You will be a little bit behind since you're in yellow and you're not doing as much damage, but you'll make up for your RNG and your other rotations and you'll catch up. So your rotation would just pretty much stay the same, and then once you go back to your second rotation, you'll make up for it. You should get a proc. Yep, see, there it is. So a lot of people, if I have the proc here, a lot of people would do their Death Strike and their Javelin skills again. Don't do that. Immediately swap stances, get your Mighty Blow, get your Unerring Strike, get your Wall of Steel, get your Desolation, then use these 3 Javelin skills here to try for another proc that lets you do Surety, Spear of Virtue, Piercing Strike, Brink of Victory, Power Attack, Onslaught. And then by that point in time, you've actually caught up. You've managed to catch up, and you finished a second rotation, and you're already working on your third before a Redline Warden would even be working on their third rotation. And you're able to maintain that. So, see if I can get the RNG factor here. This is what a double STM proc is. Oh, there it is. There it is. Alright, so you see, I just got a double proc now. Instantly, too. So the whole point of getting a double proc, this allows you to do, that's how you maintain and get up more dots. So you do RRC, Range Naring Strike. If that gives you a proc, don't do Death Strike, don't do Diminished Target. Immediately swap stances, do Mighty Blow, Unerring Strike, Wall of Steel, Desolation. Then at that point, swappy, Diminished Target, go back to your LI, marked target. If you get another STM proc, fantastic. That is a best case scenario. At that point, you'll do Surety of Death, Spear of Virtue, Piercing Strike, Brink of Victory, Power Attack. Usually at that point, STM will have worn off, but the only other gambit you have to do left is Onslaught, so you would just do a Spear Builder, and then you would do Shield and Spear, then you're done, and you're swapping stances, and you're going back to your rotation. So that is a double proc. So if I did these 2 skills here and I didn't get a proc, I will sometimes use Hampering Javelin because again, this can proc it as well. Let's see if it'll proc it real quick. Nope. All right. How about this? Nope. Of course not. But these skills here can indeed proc it. That is how you do a double STM proc. But other than that, guys, I mean, it's relatively simple. It is definitely a different play style that definitely takes some getting used to. I will probably be doing some more parses here in a bit. I'll record those. Uh, so red line right now, I am averaging anywhere between 170 to 200k DPS on the dummy. Yellow line, I'm averaging anywhere between 180 to 220, maybe 230k DPS, with maximum RNG from the quick sweep and the severed bleeds. Um, but I mean that's the problem with wardens. You could parse for 3 hours long, and you know 85% of your parses will be below average, and then you'll have that one parse which is way above average, and then you'll post it, and people think you're supposed to be doing that DPS every parse. Unfortunately, not. We're the biggest RNG DPS class in the game. We're also the most skilled DPS class in the game. You can take pride in that. It's okay. I'll go ahead and do that for you. um, but other than that, I'll be doing some more parses and I'll show them later. I've sent in a couple screenshots over in Gen's Discord of me getting 237k and 240k parses. That was with yellow. And for all those people saying that I was in red, you can literally see Fire at Will right here. And you can only get uh, that skill. I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. You can only get the skill if you're in yellow. So if I was in red with that parse, how the hell would I have this skill? Don't be dumb, guys. No, but seriously, guys, this is my first video. Uh, Definitely didn't rehearse this, as you can probably tell. Didn't really know how much information you guys were wanting. If you have any questions, please message me on Discord. Again, my name is Cam, um, or Cathera, the purple wallpaper background. That is me. You've probably seen me being a smartass just because that's my personality, just to be straight up with you. But at the same time, I love helping people. And if there's anything I'm wrong about, I love to learn from people. I am not saying that I am right. I am not saying that this is what you need to do. This is just what I personally have had the most success with. So if you guys have any other ideas, tips, or any questions, send me a private message or at me in the Discord. I'm more than willing to have discussions about this. Um, I would love to help people and love to learn from you guys respectively. So other than that, guys, if you have any questions, let me know. But until then, good luck and hopefully you guys learned something from this.